Good afternoon. Welcome back. I hope everyone is staying safe and healthy. I know things are starting to ease up a bit around here in North Carolina, but I don't know what they're doing where you are. I wanted to discuss this Harry Potter book, but you can see it's a real chunky guy with a lot of ephemera. So what I'm going to talk about first is the process of creating what you call a themed journal like this. And I will put in the description box below the time for when the actual flip through starts, for those of you who don't care about the process. So when I'm designing a book like this, I make myself lots of notes. I made the order of the books because I'd get here in the middle and I'd forget where I was. I would go through the different, I had made notes as I read the books and new scenes that I wanted to try to include. I couldn't include all of them, otherwise this thing would have had a 10-inch spine. And then I made myself little, what I call signature groups. I decided that I was going to put 4 pages in each signature, and I wrote down what I was going to put in there, looking at my ephemera, where I was going to put a pocket, what kind of things I might want to include in said pocket, and figured out when I got through that I had 10 signatures. And from that, and looking at how thick they were, I determined that I was going to need a 2.5-inch spine. This was actually my punching template for what I sewed through, and then this was my punching template. You just hook this on the side of the page, and it lines up with the holes to punch your signatures. And so that was that part. And what I sewed into was a piece of this craft text, and I marked my spine piece here. Then I marked what is called the gap, which is actually the hinge gap here. And then, because I was going to glue this into the boards that covered the book, I also had this thing called a groove here. It's where you glue 2 boards together and you leave this thickness here, which is where this was going to fit when it was glued. So when I had finished, this was going to be smooth across here without a lot of lumps and bumps that I had to backfill or do anything with. So that is kind of part of the construction process and the process for getting your stuff together to make something similar to this. So like I said, it has a 2.5-inch spine. It's hollow back, so these are faux cords. It has a hinge gap here, and then we'll just get into it. So the front, on the front cover, this is my own marble paper. But I just made a little, it's got a little magnet here, a little saying for the front of the book. And then I'll try to flip through. So it goes in line with the story. This actually is the acceptance letter with the list of supplies. So a lot of the pockets and things that I made were based on what ephemera I actually had. And I'm going to take this ephemera out as we go along, and you're going to see how skinny this book starts to get. But I created collages, pictures from Universal Studios that I posterized, collected different kinds of things, just to give sort of a picture reference of what went on. A lot of this little ephemera, the various items here, came from one of 2 sources: Muggle Magic or Dreams, etc. Wizarding World. And then I put in various quotes that I thought were important. There's your tickets. And then I had a lot from Pinterest, a lot of these copies of the Daily Prophet that had to do with what was going on, so I put those in. The Hogwarts song and the Sorting Hat song here. And this is just a piece of scrapbook paper that was heavy enough to use as a pocket that had music on it. Of course, you know that you talk to the fat lady, you say the right thing, you get to open the door and go into the Gryffindor common room. This is Ron's owl, and this is just taken from the book. I just made this little telegram that's the letter where Charlie said that they could take Norbert off of their hands since it was kind of illegal for Hagrid to have a dragon. This is the little letter that McGonagall wrote to Harry when she got him his broom to be on the Quidditch team. Again, these are things that would have been important to kind of be telling the story. This is the detention notice where he had walked in the forest, the break-in at Gringotts that let them know something about the stone, and then they had found a reference to the stone in a book, and I just pretended that was a page they tore out of the book. And then I wanted to be sure and pay some attention to each of the various instructors that were important to the story. These are a lot of Dumbledore's and others' quotes that went directly from the book. I just typed them up. This little font here is called Perry Hotter. It's a free font that's supposed to be for the Harry Potter kind of books. This was cute. This is from Muggle Magic, and it was just a little Defense of the Dark Arts booklet that you could make, and I just shrunk it way down and made a pocket for it here. Again, another one of the papers, the Daily Prophet papers, and kind of a summary of the first year. The hovering spell, this is the letter from the, just copied right out of what the book said, of the Ministry of Magic giving him a warning about using magic. And then we all remember the car scenes, and then once he got to the Burrow, they got a letter from Hermione. Once again, it's in the book. You just type it up with that, and I typed it up with that Perry Hotter thing. And then also he got his letter about the second year, and that's that one, and that's from Muggle Magic. This is the detention notice. Muggle Magic did these about arriving in the car and that. And then I made sort of a pseudo howler. Once again, you can make a more realistic, if you can call it realistic, howler from Muggle Magic had how to do that. So I just made a little representation. And he also, in Muggle Magic, had this Lockhart test that was filled in. And of course we all know the thing he learned in their dueling. This raises up, so you can see the polyjuice formula. If you know the story, this all makes sense. If you don't know the story, this is kind of crazy. This is the page about the basilisk that they found in, or something similar to what they would have found crumbled up in Hermione's hand when she was petrified. And this is just a collage page, a dining room kind of scene, and Riddle and Voldemort kind of, where you could see that they were the same person. This was the poem that Hermione was able to decipher in the Chamber of Secrets. So this one is, again, a pocket with those kind of things. And then it was his birthday, and he got the monster book, and he got a letter from Ron from Egypt, and I kind of thought that looked like it might have come from there. And there was just all sorts of birthday notes that were in the book, and once again another Welcome to Hogwarts letter. These little ticket things here and here come from Muggle Magic, another Daily Prophet. So this was just a castle scene collaged with a the cabinet from Universal Studios, and then this was somebody at a party dressed like Snape, and then I just posterized it all together. This is a mini Marauders Map. I purchased the big one that comes from the studio, but good Lord, it's almost as thick as the book and would never fit in anything. But this little mini one comes from Muggle Magic, and it's just more representational than anything. Remember the Time Turner and Muggle Magic came up with this thing that was supposed to be from the movie, how she kept up with where she was supposed to be on what day. And these were little notes. Well, this is the prediction about them running into Peter Pettigrew, and then there's a couple of little notes that are supposed to be from Hagrid about Buckbeak. And then after Sirius leaves, he mails back several different notes to Harry, and that's what those are. And then the Quidditch match, this little Quidditch program, and the tickets are from Muggle Magic, and then of course there's Daily Prophet articles about that. The various people in the tournament. These are two different Daily Prophet things about the Triwizard competition. I did not completely glue these down. I kind of tacked them because if I come up with anything else, I can glue it behind there, and then this can be a flip. This Yule Ball ticket is once again from Muggle Magic. Got a lot of ephemera from there. This is the letter about the Patronus Charm where he had to go to court. And the court scene is just a picture of Harry I found, a picture of Dumbledore. These guys were extracted from various pictures and collaged into the courtroom at the Ministry of Magic picture. And various things about Umbridge here. And I collaged in the hand where he had written on his own hand about not telling lies. Dumbledore's army list, once again from Muggle Magic. And the articles about Dumbledore resigning and Snape becoming headmaster. This cute little owl exam is from Muggle Magic as well. And then Lord Voldemort. This is another cute thing from, some of it's from Muggle Magic, some of it's from other things, but it's got the inscription of the Half-Blood Prince, and then the one page that you can find online from the book where there was all these notes about various things that Snape had written in. This is the little note that they found inside the false locket. This is actually from Muggle Magic, and I thought this was really, really cool. This is the will of Dumbledore, and where he gives the various items to Harry and Ron and Hermione. And I just added this little seal and these little ribbons just to kind of make it look like it was, official or something. I don't know. So this is a collage of a camp tent, a picture of Hermione, This was actually from the scene where she's in the hospital with Ron and she's holding Ron's hands, and I just extracted her and put a book there like she was reading. And if you remember her purse, that she had everything in that they needed, including the tent for their travels. This is a part of a scene from the death of Snape, but in the movie, he dies a different way. In the book, Nagini bites him. So I put Nagini in the scene because I prefer the book version. And this is just a picture of the castle, changed up, and picture of Neville with the sword, and then I added, all I did was, this is the snake, and I cut the head off and put it down there and put some red on it like he had just cut the head off. You know, it's pretty graphic and gross, but that's how I did it. And then at the end, it's just pictures of the ones that they lost along the way that were very important to them. And that's the end of this book. And as you can see, it got a lot narrower when I took out all the ephemera that you can take out. So be sure and leave yourself a whole lot of room. If you notice here, my holes, these are 1/8 inch lines. So these were sewn in 1/4 of an inch apart to be able to put all of this ephemera in there. And I probably could have gone 3/8 of an inch apart because it just got so bulky that I ended up having to add a closure so that stuff didn't pop out. But I hope you enjoyed that. I got back into Harry Potter because the neighbor kids were reading Harry Potter, and I made them folios. If you look back through my videos, and I'll put a link below the video to the folio that I had made previously, I made 3 of those for the kids across the street that are reading the series, and gave them, my husband's a wood turner, and we gave them little wands, and I had made a little Ollivander's wand box for them and stuff, just to have them to have something new to play with during the lockdown. So enjoy yourself, be safe, and I'll see you again soon.